Dinghai Fusheng Records. Chapter 116. Wish. The evening of the autumn close festival, the various Hu tribes of Chi-Le-Chuan all gathered at the foot of the mountain, waiting for the forged slave Ruran people to invite the great Chanyu to light the burning flame that would ignite the world. This was the highlight of the night, and it came from a time hundreds of years ago during the Han era, when the Ruran people were still forged slaves under the rule of the Xiongnu. For the fire to burn long, like a dragon of flame, meant that the heavens and earth themselves were their furnace. It also signified, within the ancient Chi-Le covenant, that these various tribes would become one whole in this giant furnace. Chen Xing, why wasn't there the ceremony the last time we came? Xiangshu watched Chen Xing but didn't respond. His eyebrows were handsome, and his eyes shone in the night. Chen Xing. Che Lukfeng brought a torch over, formally greeting Xiangshu. To the side, there were also tile people holding a jiang flute and a guqin, waiting. The leaders of all 16 Hu tribes had arrived, and Xiangshu took the torch from Che Lukfeng's hand, igniting the tail of the dragon. The fire blazed to life, heading along that long coiling dragon, slowly igniting that huge being's entire body. The more than 100,000 inhabitants of Chi-Le-Chuan all raised their heads to watch this majestic scene. The four seas and the prairies are all the great Chanyu's land, and all of the people under the sky are all the great Chanyu's people. We praise the master of Siwai, the name of the greatest warrior in the world, Shulakong. We wish for the ancient Chi-Le covenant to last for an eternity, for its lands to be fertile and rich, for the descendants of Chi-Le-Chuan to last for thousands of generations, and for our fortune to last forever. The 16 Hu tribes split up, bowed, and spoke clearly with the language of each tribe. They then kowtowed to Xiangshu, and right after, starting from the slope that the flame dragon was on, it spread across the entirety of Chi-Le-Chuan. All of the citizens knelt down on the ground. "You don't need to kneel," Xiangshu quietly said to Chen Xing. Lu Ying and Chongming had already taken their leave before this, but Xiao Shan rushed over quickly, coming to a stop behind the leader of the Xiongnu, copying them in kneeling with one knee to the ground. Shi Moken walked in front of Xiangshu, and the royal consort of the Akales lifted a golden plate in between the two of them. "Today, in the name of Shulakong, with the Yin Mountains as witness, I abdicate this position and hand it to Shi Moken," Xiangshu said in a clear voice. "I nominate Shi Moken as the new great Chanyu, and he must not violate the oath of the ancient covenant." Chen Xing finally understood why Murongchong and Princess King He would choose to come all the way to Chi-Le-Chuan for this autumn close festival. Xiangshu first shed his feather crown, placing it on the golden plate, before he then removed the official seal, took off his seals of the ruler, and glanced at Chen Xing. At that, Chen Xing also took off the seal on his hand, placing it on the golden plate. Xiangshu then took the jade bow and placed it last on the plate. Shi Moken said solemnly, "I will uphold this oath." With that, Shi Moken put on the feather crown, the rings, and the seal, returning to the Tile tribe. Finally, Xiangshu turned to face Chen Xing, and their eyes met. "Say it once more," Xiangshu said. "Now you can say it." Say what?" Even though Chen Xing knew that last time, when Xiangshu had quit the position of the great Chanyu, he had also experienced that kind of hard-to-describe shock. In this abdication ceremony, Chen Xing's emotions were still roiling like the tides, unable to settle for a long period of time. That day, on the 15th day of the second month, Xiangshu said, on the way north to Chang'an, in front of the campfire, the words you said then. "You've almost forgotten them yourself, Ba." "You," Chen Xing remembered. "Can you be my protector, martial god?" "I can," Xiangshu replied. "I promise you." With that, he turned and raised a hand to the warriors next to him, who lifted the jiang flute. Xiangshu took it and said, "But under one condition." Chen Xing watched Xiangshu fixedly, the firelight shining on both their faces. "Offer up a song to my hometown," Xiang Shu said. This is their right. After all, today, on the day of the autumn close festival, you are taking away their great Chan Yu. With that, Chen Xing took the guqin, crossing his legs and sitting down, placing the guqin across his knees. Xiang Shu tested the sound, and the two of them began to play that ancient tune. The flames burned through the entire body of that long dragon, and its blazing light lit up Chi Le Chuan. Amongst the citizens, thousands of qiang flutes began to play as well, and their music resounded through the long night. The Fushēng melody, Lu Ying said. It has been too many years since I last heard it. Chongming and Lu Ying stood behind the flame dragon, their pupils reflecting the bright blaze. What do you have planned? Chongming asked. The ancient melody slowly came to an end, and Lu Ying responded, I should go. Chongming replied, this matter is one that you must resolve on Guowang's behalf. Lu Ying smiled, and he said to Chongming, and after that? Will you go to the great mountains, to once again gather up the Yao tribes? But Chongming scoffed at that. Does Guowang seem like that kind of boring person? I wish no more than to find my brothers who have been lost to the mortal world. When the Fushēng melody ended, Xiang Shu held Chen Xing's hand and circled around to the back of the flame dragon with Xiao Shan, where they found Chongming and Lu Ying. The two of them stopped their discussion to watch them. Xiang Shu said, let's talk ba. There are many things I want to say, and when we met again, I had not had the chance to thank you too. When Lu Ying saw how Xiang Shu was acting, he understood that he had recalled everything, and he gave Chen Xing a sly smile. Chen Xing thought, you clearly had a way to help Xiang Shu recover his memories in Karasha, but you had to wait until after we returned to play such a hand. Great Yao Guai are indeed cunning. No need for thanks, Chongming responded mildly. You sacrificed yourself to release the spiritual qi of the heavens and earth, thereby saving Guowang's life. Guowang then rebuilt your physical form for you, so we are even. No need for thanks, Lu Ying added. You have all increased the burden on yourselves for the sake of a destiny, and do not hesitate in offering up your lives for the sake of this divine land. For me and my kind to do such small favors in return, how can that even be worth mentioning? That was true, so Xiang Shu nodded and dropped the courtesy. He said solemnly, of the matters back then, there are a few that I haven't thought through clearly yet. If there is no rush, can we find a time tomorrow to chat? But Lu Ying smiled gently. Life is like the morning dew, and the passage of time is fleeting. Since there is a chance today, why not have a chat right now, Protector Martial God? When Chen Xing heard these words, he had a feeling that Lu Ying may have already come to a decision to leave tomorrow. Chongming and Lu Ying were great Yao that had lived for a long time in this world, especially Lu Ying, who had experienced the passage of countless years, so what he knew was incomparable to what was written on historical records. To defeat Chu, there were many more things that they needed his help on, so they could not pass up this valuable chance. Chen Xing nodded to Xiang Shu to indicate his agreement, and after thinking for a moment, Xiang Shu made a pleased gesture. At this point, Xiang Shu had already changed out of his royal robe and into the hunting robes of the Tile tribe. It was similar to those of the warriors, the only difference being that these robes were a little more luxurious. After regaining his memories, he had returned to the way he had been when he and Chen Xing parted before the Battle of Fei River, appearing steady and with a meticulous plan. He and the others who knew of their current situation left the slopes and came to the foot of the ancient tree. Under the sky filled with stars, Xiang Shu had milk tea brought to them, and after a table was brought over, his fingers gently, subconsciously knocked on the table, as if he was hesitating. Clearly, he had many questions to ask, but he seemed to be hesitant about whether he should or not. But Chen Xing asked, in the end, I better return the memories of 5 people. Lu Ying, why do you remember? I don't remember, Lu Ying said. It was no more than a guess from the scattered pieces that Xiao Shan told me, as well as the phenomenon of the revival of all magic. Chen Xing was immediately shocked. Among all these people, only Lu Ying didn't know everything that had happened, yet he could deduce a great portion of the entire chain of events. Lu Ying continued to explain. My power is to protect the realm of dreams, and how the realm of dreams arises has quite a few connections to time itself. To be able to deduce all of this is not something to be surprised about. Chen Xing ed. Originally, he wanted to ask what the realm of dreams had to do with time, but when he thought about how thoughts were had in the day, while dreams were had in the night, and the appearance of dreams was to retrace and re-experience the past, he no longer tried to change the topic. When I left, I thought all of this was over, Chen Xing continued. Xiang Shu returned to himself from his thoughts and interrupted Chen Xing's words. Let's first match up the parts that we are not clear on. So that it's easier to figure out our next steps. Very good, Chongming said solemnly. Finally, there is someone who sees sense. Otherwise, with Chen Xing's endless pestering, when will Chu be defeated? Guowang would probably not even be able to outlive this god of weapons who really only has ruins left to him. Chen Xing thought, so that's why you're mocking me, huh? But when he thought about it again, Xiang Shu was truly the most clear-headed. After getting back his memories, the first thing he did was to bring up all of the plans regarding the future. Of all the people he had met in his life, only Xiang Shu and Xian had such good heads on their shoulders. The last time Chen Xing fell into a coma, Xiang Shu said, I took a trip to Mount Hua. You told me that later, Chen Xing said. Xiang Shu nodded. There, I ran into Wang Meng, who had been sent by Chu. Chen Xing. This was not something that Xiang Shu had brought up before, but Wang Meng had only appeared to pass on a message. He had brought a verbal missive from Chu, requesting Xiang Shu to come to Huanmo Palace so that he and the god of weapons could have a trade. After that, the rest of the series of events had occurred. Huanmo Palace is right under the Fei River. Chen Xing asked, shocked. Xiang Shu nodded. Correct. He then told them about how he had passed through that light veil, and what Wang Zi had said to him in the Tides of Time array. Xiao Shan was silent with amazement at that. After all, after the battle in the Chang'an of the Mirror World, he and Feng Qianjun had fallen under the control of the devil god's blood, so they didn't know anything about what had happened afterwards. Since the location of Huanmo Palace has been confirmed, Xiao Shan immediately piped up, we can go get rid of Chu. But Lu Ying asked in response, how will you get rid of him? The Akala blade has already fallen into Chu's hands. This was also the thing that Chen Xing was most worried about. Without the Akala blade, how were they to defeat Chu? Xiang Shu said. We must notify Xian as soon as possible and stop the digging there. We must not startle Chu, not until we find a new method that will work, or take back the demonic spear that the Akala blade has been refined into. Chen Xing said, the second time that the drought fiend chaos erupted in Chang'an, we already tried that. The resentment in the devil's spear cannot be purified like that of the yin-yang mirror. Because it has recognized a master, Chongming finally spoke. The Akala blade is very special. Everyone was silent for a while, before Xiang Shu rolled up his sleeve and showed his right arm to them. The dragon god granted me these, which are the same 9 symbols that are on the Akala blade. What do they mean? Chongming responded, these are symbols of exorcism, and were left by Akalantha in the human realm for the purpose of exorcising devils. Based on Guowang's hypothesis, after Chu corrupted the divine sword, the symbols did not transfer, but rather disappeared and became one with the heavens and earth. Zuyan, in the end, then pulled out this energy from the heavens and earth and handed it to you. Either way, Guowang thinks that the possibility of retrieving the Akala blade is very small, and there is no need to take this risk. It would be more realistic to think of a way to destroy the demonic spear. Chen Xing replied, then I have a question. Akalantha and Dipamkara, where did they go? Lu Ying replied, in this world, in the places you cannot reach, outside of the bounds of time, there are many rifts in time. After the gods returned to seclusion, they left the divine land and took up residence in those cracks in time. Are you thinking of asking them for a method to reforge a sword? To me, that seems very unnecessary. Those are places that even the dragon god Zuyan could not touch, so best not hold out on this line of wishful thinking. Chen Xing accepted these words, and he nodded, before continuing, did I Upiter also come from these places? Chongming replied, me and mine do not know much of the heavens outside these heavens, so we have no way to answer this question of yours. Xiang Shu understood that in the end, it would still be up to him. He was silent for a moment, before he then said to Chen Xing, before I Upiter left, did they say any unordinary words to you? Chen Xing remembered, so he told them about the conversation that he and I Upiter had, after the Dinghai pearl had broken, in his final moments, in that darkness. The year that was stolen away. Xiang Shu asked. Chen Xing's face was set in an expression of confusion. The words that Xiao Ji said, a lot of it I didn't understand. You can say that you are dead, but you can also say that you haven't died, Chongming murmured. This was also the first time he had heard Chen Xing pass on the words that I Upiter had said in the realm of consciousness. What does that mean? What he was probably saying, Chen Xing said hesitantly, at that time, Xue could be considered dead, but after the ancient array of the tides of time activated, he revived. No, Xiang Shu immediately nixed Chen Xing's guess, and he said solemnly, if that were the case, then I Upiter would tell you that he was still alive, or right now, he is dead, but it's a pity he'll revive again. He wouldn't put it like that. Chen Xing said, but can someone be both dead and not dead? Lu Ying replied, perhaps the world that I Upiter saw was different from what we understood. At the very end, two possibilities existed for the god of weapons. Either he would be completely eliminated, or he would successfully revive. And what I Upiter saw was the superposition of these two possibilities. When Chongming heard these words, he suddenly thought of something, and his expression changed. The four of them turned to look at Chongming at the same time, only for Chongming to reply, continue speaking. The year that was stolen, Xiang Shu said, was referring to the decision that I made, to guide Xing Chen Xing, he. Without realizing it himself, Xiang Shu had called Chen Xing by his nickname, and he immediately felt a little self-conscious. When Chen Xing heard it, however, he felt a sense of warmth in his heart. Xiang Shu changed what he was saying. The battle that he should have originally faced when he was 20 was moved forward to the year he was 19. Lu Ying nodded. According to the meaning in those words, I imagine that your guess is correct. The Dinghai pearl does not exist within the causes and effects of time, which was why when the artifact that made up your physical body shattered, all of the Dinghai pearls in all time disappeared. What you did was outside of the control of time and its causes and effects. Chen Xing said, but, if all of the Dinghai pearls in all time disappeared, then wouldn't Zhonglu have never found the Dinghai pearl? Why does this event still exist in our memories? And the 300 years of the silence of all magic, why does that still exist? Lu Ying replied, matters that are fixed, according to the laws of time and causes and effects in this world, are not easily changed. But, because the Dinghai pearl is analogous to the wheels of the divine and earth veins themselves, it can willfully change some moments in time, changing those that Shulakong once wished to change. But it also maintains certain causes and effects, which is how it's miraculous. Chen Xing was already dizzy from the twists in that logic, but Xiang Shu who responded, let's suppose that I was still the Dinghai pearl now. If I were to turn time back once more, what would happen? Lu Ying responded, according to these rules, I imagine, the result would be that the entire series of causes and effects, from now until the point you stop turning back time, would be disrupted, all the way until the point that you set down. Matters from before then would be unaffected. Chen Xing said, No wonder Chu wanted to get it, no matter what. Lu Ying continued, and, the divine and earth veins originally possessed a powerful ability to fix themselves. Have you found that, no matter if everything has started again from the beginning, many things are still unfolding uncontrollably in a certain direction? Chen Xing nodded. There need to be variables. Xiang Shu said, I remember that at the very end, I pulled out a ring and put it on Chen Xing's hand. Huh? Chen Xing asked, confused. Was there one? Oh yeah, I completely forgot, at that time you handed something to me. But when I woke, there was nothing on my hand. Chen Xing was immediately a little horrified, and he stretched his hand out to let Xiang Shu see, only to see that there was no ring. He said, it wouldn't have fallen off in Xiangyang, would it? How about let's go back to find it? Was that something that was left behind after the Dinghai pearl shattered? Xiang Shu immediately said, I'm not blaming you. If it's gone, then it's gone. Chen Xing asked Xiang Shu, what use does the ring have? Xiang Shu didn't know what use it had either. At the very end, he had merely wanted to leave it to Chen Xing as a memento, to serve as proof that he had once lived in Chen Xing's life. And that ring that was left at the end was the thing that had the most possibility to avoid the control of time and return to the past together with Chen Xing. As of today, since everyone was fine, there was no need to be hung up over this ring anymore. That's the tide ring, Lu Ying said gently. It exists within the Dinghai pearl, and corresponds to the rings of the divine and earth veins. Perhaps, with the shattering of the pearl, it has lost its use, or perhaps, and this is the best case scenario, it has still kept a little of its effects, if it can be found. I suggest that you all do your best to search for it. Chen Xing asked, what effects? For example? This question was one that even Lu Ying couldn't answer, because after all, many things had already surpassed what he knew. He guessed, perhaps it can travel through time to a certain extent. It's hard to say. Xiao Shan was slumped at the table, and upon listening to them talk about many deductions that he couldn't understand at all, he was so tired that he had already fallen asleep. Lu Ying glanced at Xiao Shan, before saying to Chen Xing, tomorrow, I will be leaving. After this, please keep taking care of Xiao Shan. Chen Xing nodded. You're going to search for Buddha. Lu Ying smiled but didn't respond. Xiang Shu, however, was still thinking about that year that was stolen, and he couldn't resist adding, if I hadn't stolen that year from I Upiter, then with what came after, would I Upiter have a different view of things? Lu Ying replied, I don't know I Upiter, but I imagine that that would be the case. But this does not mean that in the end, Chen Xing would be able to live. The most likely possibility would be that the day Chen Xing turned 20, you all would successfully get rid of the god of weapons, but in the end Chen Xing would still die just like that, and I Upiter would leave. Xiang Shu had gotten the answer that he had guessed, and he replied, since that's the case, then in that last year that should have happened, what would have happened? That, I really have no way to answer, Lu Ying said calmly. Legend has it that in our futures, countless possibilities are created with the choices every person makes. These choices are called variables, but when all of the variables are in place, the one future will surface from the sea of time. All of the other possibilities will completely disappear, or, that is to say, you will never be able to know what will happen in your destiny. There is a way, Chongming finally spoke. Guowang once had a friend. Chen Xing and Xiang Shu immediately looked towards Chongming, but just as he was about to keep speaking, Chongming suddenly realized something. His face returned to that cold and impassive expression, and he raised an eyebrow at Chen Xing. Xiang Shu. Chongming and Chen Xing's eyes met, and the corners of Chongming's mouth raised slightly, revealing an expression of victory. Do you need help? Chongming asked. Chen Xing. After Chongming said that sentence, he fell silent. Chen Xing sucked in a deep breath, but Lu Ying chuckled. You will always have to make this third wish. The phoenix is very busy, and he also has his own matters to take care of. There is no need to force fate. Just as Chen Xing was about to give up the third wish that he had thought of and change it to asking for Chongming for help, Xiang Shu asked, "Is this an agreement?" "Yes." Chen Xing said, a little dejected. "I originally had prepared to use it for something else." Xiang Shu's memories of this journey hadn't disappeared. Chongming had always flown back and forth, and every time, at a key moment, he would show up and ask Chen Xing if he needed help. But every time, Chen Xing would respond that he didn't. Xiang Shu felt that this wasn't a phoenix, Chongming seemed more like a parrot, but now he finally understood. Chen Xing sighed, but Xiang Shu gestured for him not to speak, he would take care of it. With that, Xiang Shu said to Lu Ying, "If the Yao King is willing to tell us this method, then I imagine, Chen Xing can say what his third wish is today." Chongming. This time, it was Chongming's turn to be frustrated. Xiang Shu had merely said if, and Chen Xing hadn't asked him for help either. This was completely possible, and his face was set in a stunned expression. Upon seeing that, Xiang Shu added, "If you're not willing, then let it be, let's leave this agreement in place, and we'll slowly think of a way on our own." Lu Ying was instantly so overcome with laughter that he slumped to his side under the tree. It was with such great difficulty that Chongming saw the light at the end of the tunnel, only to see Chen Xing and Xiang Shu about to leave. He said, enraged, "Hold it." Chongming then pulled out a phoenix feather from his robes, and he said, "I have an old friend who goes by the name of Yuan Kun. He lives in the outer sea, and after the silence of all magic, he disappeared completely. Take a ship out to sea, and bring this feather with you. If you run into him while he's in a good mood, perhaps he will come see you." Chen Xing was a little confused, but he took the feather. Lu Ying looked askance at Chongming, who nodded. Lu Ying said, "If it's that lord, and perhaps he will be able to unravel your hesitations. He is already very advanced in age, and he is the god who controls the realm of dreams." Chen Xing asked, "Then isn't he the same as you?" "No," Lu Ying said. "He has a different kind of power. Through dreams, he can predict the future by seeing the countless possibilities hidden under the surface of the sea of time." Chen Xing stowed that feather away carefully. With this, perhaps they would still be able to see what happened in that year that had been stolen. Though Chen Xing was a little curious about this, he didn't really believe that this would be able to get rid of Chug. But since Xiang Shu cared the most about this right now, then he must have his reasons. Did he want to reforge the sword? But in those 3 years, didn't they already have the Akala blade? Say it ba. Chongming managed to suppress his rage. After being reborn from the flames this time, he had been led in circles by Chen Xing, and perhaps, even until these 1,000 years ended, he wouldn't forget him. For who knows how many days and nights in the future, as long as he closed his eyes, he might see that hateful, jovial face of Chen Xing's in front of him. Chen Xing sucked in a deep breath, as if he was considering things. Finally, he began to smile, and he said, "Thank you, Chongming. Just now, when Lu Ying spoke of fate, I suddenly got over it. If you want to go, then go ba." Truly. Chongming watched Chen Xing warily, afraid of being outplayed by him once again. But Chen Xing replied, "N. To have met you must be something that fate ordained. You saved Xiang Shu, and we became the witnesses of your rebirth from the flames. We also had the honor to bestow an official title on you, since you did not mind, and even helped you come up with such an odd name. I imagine we can be considered friends now. Chongming, get to the main point." Chen Xing had prepared many words, but they were interrupted by Chongming's impatience, and he could only say dejectedly, "Oh, okay." Lu Ying smiled at Chen Xing. "He's only embarrassed, just like Shulakong. He just likes to steer away from those topics, You don't need to take it to heart. Xiang Shu. At that, Chen Xing also began to smile, and he said earnestly, you are the Yao King, and we are humans. Our lives may be very short, sometimes, when I look at the sky of stars above us. Everyone raised their heads. Xiao Shan had played for an entire day, so he had already fallen asleep in this dark night under this vast dome of stars. The wild revelry of the Qi Li Chuan Autumn Close Festival had also dissipated, leaving behind only this ancient silver river, quietly shining down on the human realm. In these many years that had come and gone, their meeting and parting on this day seemed to be extraordinary, but the sun still rose and set, and it was just another day that was as common as could be in this lengthy passage of time. When Chen Xing raised his head, his youthful face shone with the light of the stars, and he smiled at Chongming. I think about how, perhaps, in the coming days, you will no longer be friends with us humans, Chen Xing said, his gaze turning to Chongming's eyes. Then this third wish of mine, can I ask you, from today on, to look after us humans, as much as you can? Chongming. Lu Ying began to chuckle, and he said, he's often bored and has nothing to do, so I think this request is one that he'll definitely agree to. When Xiang Shu heard these words, his face twitched, but Chongming couldn't speak for a long while, his expression very odd. You want me to protect the humans? Chongming asked in disbelief. Chen Xing immediately said. That's not it. This isn't a forceful demand, it's more, you can say it's more protecting, or you can say it's a wish of mine. Everything has an end, and living for hundreds of thousands of years, only to be reborn from the flames again and again, one life after another, one world after another, it must be very lonely ba. Chen Xing smiled. I only wish, and perhaps this will be a long time from now, you will truly get to know us humans, to become good friends with us humans, ephemeral as mayflies, perhaps, you will even adopt a human child, just like Lu Ying and Xiao Kun. Chongming replied, shut up. As soon as Guowang sees you humans' children, Guowang gets irritated. Of course, I also am a bit selfish. The Yao tribes and the humans, Chen Xing said, once fought amongst each other for a long time, but in these 300 years of the silence of all magic, we all lost all of our power. I often wonder, for exorcists to exist in this world, is it not to exorcise devils? Humans and Yaos are all beings who live on this divine land, and we originally had no hatred so great we could not live under the same sky. Chongming let out a cold grunt. Chen Xing said, I will also do my best to restrain the exorcists. If it's possible, I wish that the Yaos and the humans will never be in conflict. Lu Ying said, you're a good child, Chen Xing. Xiang Shu's mouth quirked up faintly, and he raised his hand to rub Chen Xing's head. Chen Xing, however, grew a little abashed. Chongming sat to one side of the table, not wishing to look at Chen Xing, but in the end he raised a hand. Chen Xing gestured at Xiang Shu, who said, then, Shulakong, with the identity of the protector martial god, will swear upon this covenant with you. Not a single one of you mortals is any good, Chongming said in the end. Xiang Shu put out his palm, striking Chongming's palm 3 times. After the palm strikes were done, Chongming instantly took on his bird form, leaving a trail of flame, scattering thousands of points of starlight as it circled. The cry of a phoenix echoed, and Chen Xing and Xiang Shu held hands as they ran to the vast grasslands. The phoenix flapped its wings, passing through the calm night sky, flying into the distance, leaving Chen Xing and Qi Li Chuan behind. The sky rose high and the land stretched far, and it flew away unfettered. End chapter. Dinghai Fusheng Records. Chapter 117. Leaving home. That night, the wind that passed through the grasslands once again began to blow outside the tent. Are we heading out tomorrow? Chen Xing asked Xiang Shu from where he was curled up in the blankets. What do you think? Wearing his inner robe, Xiangshu laid down on the bed, facing Chen Xing. The two of them looked at each other. When Chen Xing returned to the royal tent, he was a little nervous. Would something happen tonight? Even though he really liked Xiangshu, he had never thought about what they would be like after their hearts were won. Tonight, the light in the royal tent made him think of a Han custom, the wedding night. Xiangshu won't do anything to me in a little while, right? On the way back, Chen Xing had been constantly thinking about this. What if he did something? Then Chen Xing could only take it, but between two men, how were they supposed to do that? Heavens! This was already something outside of Chen Xing's scope of knowledge. In the books he had read before, the contents that involved the great exorcist and the protector martial god didn't detail what they did on a daily basis either. Xiangshu, however, acted very natural, just like he had every day. He took off his clothes and laid down on his side of the bed. He then turned his head and glanced at Chen Xing, as if he had suddenly thought of the same thing. With that glance, Chen Xing's face was the first to redden. If we sleep together like this, will something happen? Chen Xing's entire brain was now filled with what would happen, and he dimly felt a little bit of anticipation, but was also very nervous. But when he thought about it closely, didn't they usually sleep like this? Ever since he had known Xiangshu, they would sleep in one room every now and then, and most of the time, they even had to share the same bed. At that time, Chen Xing had never felt that there was anything to be nervous about. After Xiangshu had kissed him under the tree, as soon as the two of them were alone together, Chen Xing's brain would grow agitated with the feeling of being kissed. It was really too beautiful. He constantly wanted to kiss Xiangshu, but he was afraid of having Xiangshu think he was too frivolous. When the light went out, Xiangshu asked, "You want to stay in Chi-Le-Chuan for a few more days?" Chen Xing said, a little hesitant. "That's up to you, or should we leave? There's a lot of things left to do. I'm not in a rush to do them, but I just want to." With that, Xiangshu reached out his hand, wrapping it around Chen Xing's palm under the blanket, tugging Chen Xing gently towards him. Chen Xing's heart immediately began to beat wildly, and he got a little closer, saying, "Since we have a lead, why not set out as soon as we can?" "Come over a little," Xiangshu said. "Finally, there's no one else around." Chen Xing's heart was overrun with joy, and he got a little closer. Xiangshu moved his arm higher and let Chen Xing pillow his head on it, and at that, Chen Xing's breathing immediately quickened. Right after, Xiangshu turned towards him, pulling him into an embrace against him. Chen Xing. This action immediately caused Chen Xing to feel a sense of vertigo, and he felt that this was a little unreal. In an instant, Xiangshu's body heat, the smell of his skin right under that thin inner robe, caused his entire being to feel at a loss for what to do. So, should we first go out to see, to find that, what's he called, that person? Chen Xing's entire being was a little dumbstruck. Xiangshu frowned. "At a time like this, can you talk about something else?" Chen Xing, oh okay. "Do you still remember that the money that your dad gave you?" Xiangshu didn't want to hear Chen Xing talk any longer, so he hugged him tight, lowered his head, and pressed their lips together. First it was hand-holding, then it was pulling him into his embrace, and at the end it was this kiss. All of this together finally collapsed the guard of Chen Xing's reason. This kiss was even more warm and blazing than the one in the snow, and it held an even more indescribably touching feel, as if a wild animal had cornered its prey and had managed to aggressively take control of its entire being. Woo! Chen Xing was so nervous that he was trembling, and he didn't even know where to put his hands. In the end, while still trembling, he wrapped them around Xiangshu's shoulders. After kissing for who knew how long, Chen Xing was almost unable to breathe. Xiangshu finally let go of him, lowering his head to look into his eyes. I wish to exchange vows with you in the Qinglu, Xiang Shu said quietly. Chen Xing's face was bright red from the kissing. He originally thought that Xiang Shu would have been appeased a little, only to find that this fellow was even more beside himself. Exchanging vows in a Qinglu, is that the same as marriage? Chen Xing asked nervously. At the same time, he felt, after that session of tongue entangling, the two of them had both awkwardly had reactions. Chen Xing's face burned. He wanted to move a little away so that he could calm down, but Xiang Shu didn't allow him to do that. With a little strength, one of his hands wrapped around Chen Xing's waist, pulling him closer to himself without allowing for any protest. Xiang Shu said quietly, his eyes filled with warmth. Living in the Qinglu, if it's for too long, will take up too much of our time. Are you embarrassed? He then added, finding this a little amusing. What are you embarrassed for? Don't you like me? Yes. Chen Xing felt that Xiang Shu was pressed up firmly against him, because after all, neither of them could control it, and their bodies could not lie. But what he was feeling in this moment was completely devoid of awkwardness or any other feeling, aside from an unperturbed calm, as if his body was being completely honest. Panting lightly, Chen Xing nodded. Xiang Shu moved a little, and with this movement, they rubbed up against each other through the thin cloth of their pants. Chen Xing immediately was a little overcome, and with an eye, he began to cry out. Xiang Shu couldn't help his breathing growing more rapid as well. He hugged Chen Xing even more firmly in his arms, lowering his head to kiss his face. Chen Xing's entire brain was filled with "I'm done for, what are we doing next?" He hugged Xiang Shu tightly and before asking, exchanging vows in the Qinglu, isn't that just getting married? Getting married, sure. Xiang Shu explained, we'll build a Qinglu on the vast plains at the foot of the Yin Mountains, and after exchanging vows, we must stay in the Qinglu for 100 days. Ah? Chen Xing asked. 100 days? Xiang Shu nodded, and the two of them separated a little. Chen Xing looked into Xiang Shu's eyes, and he asked, what would we be doing, living there for so long? What do you think? Xiang Shu had completely given up on making Chen Xing understand, and he moved a little again. Chen Xing felt a strong sense of pleasure, and that desire in his heart that was hard to vocalize was about to break through and come pouring out. He understood Xiang Shu's meaning. 100 days? Chen Xing asked. A whole 3 months? Do we have to stay in the Qinglu every day? Woo! Xiang Shu, however, seemed to be greatly enjoying this feeling of having soft jade in his embrace, and he only wished to keep kissing Chen Xing. His body pressed a little closer, but they had to talk, so he could only talk in between kisses, in little snatches. The rules of Qi Li Chuan were, after the Qinglu was built and the two of them were married, then all of the guests would leave, and at the foot of the sacred mountain, there would only be a single small tent. For a whole 100 days after marriage, the lovers would entangle with each other in the tent. Some food and water would be left outside by family or brothers. Often, after a man and a woman married, after the 3 months were over, they could consider choosing a name for their child. But the Hu people didn't really have any strict rules. Men could exchange vows in a Qinglu as well, but they also had to follow the tradition. Whether or not you could give birth, you'd have to stay in the Qinglu for a whole 3 months. With that, when the husband and wife or husband and husband left the Qinglu, their love for each other for the rest of their lives would be even deeper. Then, how do we do that? Chen Xing asked. He felt that the Xiang Shu of tonight was a little foreign to him, but this also brought a dim sense of familiarity, as if it had happened before in a dream. Huh? In a dream? I haven't lost my memories, how could that be in a dream? Suddenly, Chen Xing remembered on one of the days that he had been unconscious, the feeling that glowing dragon had given him in the sea of his dreamscape. You haven't seen horses breeding. Xiang Shu found this very odd. How come Chen Xing didn't even know about this? But we're both men, Chen Xing said. This. His original nervousness had all disappeared, and Chen Xing moved forward, kissing the side of Xiang Shu's face. Xiang Shu originally wanted to jab at him with a few sentences about how he clearly was willing to in his heart, but was so indirect about it. But this kiss of his own accord immediately caused Xiang Shu's desire to rise. It had already gotten this far, and he no longer wished to hold himself back, so he pressed Chen Xing down and kissed him back. Stick it wherever, Xiang Shu said. There'll always be a spot. Chen Xing was about to say, I'm not a horse, why are you, but then, Xiang Shu caught his lips in another kiss. Tonight, he had been kissed by Xiang Shu quite a few times, and he was completely overcome with emotion. He really does like me a lot, and at that, Chen Xing was so pleased that his face bloomed. Oh well, do whatever you want, ba. Do you want to sleep? Xiang Shu was almost unable to control himself, and as long as Chen Xing replied, I can't sleep, he was going to take off his clothes. Xiang Shu was already so hard that he was like a rod of metal, and when the tile people were aroused, they were like wild beasts. Xiang Shu was already using all his might to control himself. After all, Chen Xing was a Han person, and he was afraid that if he was too direct, that would frighten him. All right, Chen Xing said. You must have been very tired today, ba. Xiang Shu's mind was filled with that day, one of a few times when they had been on a boat. Chen Xing's pale, smooth skin in his embrace, the light fragrance coming off his body, the feeling of hugging him, those were the most vivid descriptions of the land of the tender. But today, too many things had happened, and perhaps Chen Xing was also very tired. So Xiang Shu could only stop his restless shuffling, and he replied, I am a bit. Can I touch you? Chen Xing asked. You can hug me while we sleep. Wasn't this superfluous? With that, Xiang Shu took off his robe and grabbed Chen Xing's hand, pressing it against his pants. He raised an eyebrow, meaning, pants. Chen Xing's entire face turned bright red, and he hurriedly said, no need. Then, Chen Xing put his hand on Xiang Shu's shoulder, a little embarrassed. Xiang Shu continued, I'm yours now. When he heard these words, Chen Xing's heart was filled with emotion, and he said, I am also yours. If you're tired, then sleep, Xiang Shu said quietly. There will be time in the future. In every coming day, I will not leave you. Chen Xing breathed in deeply. The two of them were still pressed against each other through their pants, and neither had the slightest inclination of calming down. I want to talk with you a little. Today was the day in Chen Xing's life that he would be hard-pressed to forget. Xiang Shu used the back of his finger to swipe slightly along Chen Xing's nose, and he moved one hand to his waist, while the other wrapped around his shoulders. When did you like me? Chen Xing didn't quite understand, and his eyes held mirth in them. Xiang Shu clearly didn't want to respond to this question. This didn't match his personality at all, and he wanted to turn around and lie flat, but Chen Xing didn't let go. When I found that you wouldn't be able to leave me, Xiang Shu said after thinking for a bit. Chen Xing said, nonsense. Clearly it was you who first liked me. Xiang Shu, it was you. Chen Xing, it was you. The two of them. Chen Xing wanted to push Xiang Shu away, but Xiang Shu didn't let go. His boiling hot skin pressed against Chen Xing, robed in thin clothing, and after thinking for a long time, the two of them were sunk in a long period of silence. At first, Chen Xing was waiting for his response, but as he waited, just as Xiang Shu was about to speak, Chen Xing's breaths evened out. Against his own will, he fell asleep. Xiang Shu was a little dumbfounded. But he then hugged Chen Xing tight, letting him coil without reserve around him, half slumped on top of him. He adjusted his breathing and slowly calmed, closing his eyes and falling asleep. In the early morning of the next day, Chen Xing yawned as he woke. This was the most comfortable sleep he had had in the past few days. Xiang Shu was already awake, and he was waiting outside the screen. Their things had also been packed, and the golden pearl that signified the great Chanyu on the royal tent had already been taken down and given away. When they left the royal tent, Xiang Shu turned back to take a look. Chen Xing knew that this time, Xiang Shu would be truly leaving behind his native land. But Xiang Shu didn't display any lingering regret. Perhaps, he had felt it before in his heart, but for Chen Xing, he had no complaints, calmly accepting his choice. Go. Xiang Shu only said a single word. In this world, there was a person who was willing to turn his back on his native land and wander the ends of the earth with him. When Chen Xing thought to this point, he felt very pained inside. Why was it that last time, when they had come to Chi Li Chuan, he hadn't understood what the action of Xiang Shu leaving his hometown meant? We'll still come back, Chen Xing said earnestly to Xiang Shu. I like this place, I like Chi Li Chuan. Xiang Shu responded casually, what kind of flattery is this? You clearly only want to go back to Jiangnan and go read books in your purple wisteria garden. Chen Xing replied, no, I like it now. Because Chi Li Chuan witnessed us getting together. Xiang Shu reined his horse to a stop, turning back to look at Chen Xing, who spurred his horse to follow. Then we'll still come back in the future? Xiang Shu asked. We will, Chen Xing said. We definitely will come back. The area in front of Chi Li Chuan was filled with residents who wanted to see the great Chanyu, Shulakong, off, but what was the most surprising to Chen Xing was that the 60,000 Ruran people were there in full uniform. Che Lufeng was dressed in a martial robe, and he wore a feather crown, his robes fluttering in the wind and Che Lufeng said. We're also leaving. Chen Xing found this very odd, but Xiang Shu seemed to have long since known. He replied, the mountains stretch high above and the rivers stretch far ahead, we will meet again one day. On this day, the Ruran people were heading west, leaving Chi Li Chuan for the western side of the Yin Mountains to find a new land for their tribe to settle in. Che Lufeng then distantly made a gesture of drawing a bow and knocking an arrow towards Chen Xing and shouted, Han person. I'm handing my anda over to you. Take good care of him. We'll meet again in the future. Chen Xing shouted back, we'll meet again someday, Che Lufeng. Lu Ying, Xiao Shan, Tuaba Yan, Sima Wei and the rest were each astride a warhorse, waiting for Chen Xing and Xiang Shu on the plains. King Achilles and his royal consort had come to see them off, and the royal consort was holding Nataro, while King Achilles was holding Chen Xing's dog. Chen Xing rubbed the dog's head, before saying to the royal consort, you must take good care of it. It saved my life. The royal consort smiled. All right, I understand, I will not mistreat it. That dog whimpered a few times, trying to scrabble towards Chen Xing, struggling non-stop in the royal consort's arms. Chen Xing, however, used his finger to poke its forehead, saying, you're not allowed to run wild. Wait for us at Lake Barkle. Xiang Shu asked, what exactly is its name? Chen Xing smiled. It's called Xiang Shu. Xiang Shu. Leaving it behind in Chi Li Chuan was also a decision that Chen Xing had come to after a lot of thought. After all, they still had many places to go on this journey. If it remained in Sibei, it would have an endless amount of meat to eat, and it would be able to run freely across the vast plains. To this little dog, this was the best home. Shi Moken personally led his men out of Chi Li Chuan. That scene was very majestic, and they went all the way to the road that led out of the plains, where they stopped in their steps. Chia. In the end, Xiang Shu didn't turn back at all as he led the group away from Chi Li Chuan. On the low slopes to the two sides, wolf packs showed themselves, and they, along with a base standing high up on a slope, all let out howls as they sent off Lu Ying and Xiao Shan. Chi Li Chuan, under the Yin Mountains. The sky resembled an arched hut, covering the whole plain. Just up to here ba, Lu Ying said. And now, I still have a few words that I'd like to say to you all. Xiang Shu replied, I also have words I want to say. After passing through the southern end of the Yin Mountains, the dying maples were as red as blood. The ground was blanketed with a layer of white frost, but the creek bubbled. The group came to a temporary halt outside the maple grove, and Chen Xing thought for a bit, before gesturing for Lu Ying to speak first. Lu Ying, however, made a pleased gesture, letting Xiang Shu go first. Xiang Shu pulled out a box from his saddlebags, and he glanced at Chen Xing, who nodded. Xiang Shu then handed the box to Tue Bayan. Tue Bayan, we'll have to trouble you to take a trip down to Jiangnan. Xiang Shu knew that Tue Bayan was originally planning to go find Xian anyways, so he opened the box, gesturing for him to look at the 4 rings that King Achilles had given Chen Xing. Xian would probably be able to use the set of rings to a greater amount of their potential. After all, there was still a rotten Jiao in the south, as well as Wen Che, who had once been an exorcist. Since they could not return for a while, they were afraid that Wang Zi would once again set off his arrangements, and Xian would find it hard to counter. Tue Bayan glanced at Lu Ying, thought deeply for a moment, then took the box and said, all right. For Tue Bayan to have so easily agreed to Xiang Shu's request was something that Chen Xing was a little taken aback by. After that, Xiang Shu continued, Sima Wei, you head back as well to assist Xian. If anything changes, act as you see fit. Sima Wei nodded, spurring his horse and turning away. Tue Bayan continued, Lu Ying. Chen Xing and Xiang Shu took their leave, and Xiang Shu said to Xiao Shan, Xiao Shan, come here. Xiao Shan was not very willing, but he still obediently followed what Xiang Shu said, riding his horse to their side to let Tue Bayan and Lu Ying have time to themselves for a bit. A while later, Tue Bayan waved to them and said, see you in Jiangnan. With that, he also turned his horse's head, catching up with Sima Wei, and the two of them left. Gag, are you purposefully making him leave? Xiao Shan asked Xiang Shu. Xiang Shu didn't speak. Lu Ying led a horse over, saying, this horse is for you all, I have no more need of it. Chen Xing glanced at Tue Bayan, who had vanished into the distance. He then raised an eyebrow and looked questioningly at Lu Ying. Lu Ying smiled. He didn't say anything. He only recited half a poem to me, and I suddenly felt it was very beautiful. What poem? Chen Xing asked. Marching on and on, Lu Ying said warmly. Bidding farewell to you. Chen Xing continued, more than 1,000 miles lie between us, and we stand at opposite ends of the earth. The road is long and hard, and who knows when we will meet again. Who horses still long for the northern winds, and southerly birds that build nests in the north still dream of their southerly trees, Lu Ying said helplessly, shrugging. As for what came after, he thought about it for a long time, but he said in the end, I really can't remember. Chen Xing couldn't help chuckling at that, and Lu Ying also felt that this was funny. As they laughed, Chen Xing couldn't help the tears in his eyes, and he said, I long since knew that this would come to no fruition. Lu Ying said, but I couldn't help but promise him that, if it was meant to be, I would definitely see him again. Let this wish accompany him, so that he lives a good life. Of course, I also hope that he can find a lover who he can truly call his own. Saying this, Lu Ying rubbed Xiao Shan's head again. Xiao Shan seemed to sense something, and instantly his eyes reddened, stubborn tears springing up in them as he grabbed Lu Ying, unwilling to let go. Lu Ying began to smile, and he asked, to set out on the Silk Road, do I have to leave from Chang'an? You can head along the Great Wall, Xiang Shu said. When you reach the Hexi corridor, find a caravan and go with them. Lu Ying nodded and said, Xiao Shan, I too must go. No. Tears trickled out from Xiao Shan's eyes, and he said, don't go. You can't go. Lu Ying said, Xiao Shan, I feel that there will come a day in the future when you will become the great Chanyu of the grasslands. Do you believe me? Chen Xing. You will have many friends, Lu Ying said. You will also have your family, your lover, your children. Just like what Shulakong said, I bestow upon you my blessing, may your descendants last for thousands of generations, with no diseases and no disasters falling upon them. Xiao Shan couldn't stop sobbing, and he hugged Lu Ying tightly, not letting go, his little shoulders trembling. Lu Ying smiled gently. Xiao Kun and I are both great Yaoguai, and we need to eat humans. Do you still remember what you asked me when you were small? You asked me when I would let you go, and now, see. Aren't I letting you go now? You should be happy. Don't cry anymore. I won't go. Xiao Shan only hugged Lu Ying with a deathly strong grip. Xiao Shan, Chen Xing said, let's go. I'll take you to Jiangnan, to Xie Shixing. Your disciple De Yun's still waiting for you to teach her magic and martial arts. No. Xiao Shan said anxiously. Lu Ying, you can come to the south with us. There are many places, and I can take you to them. Those places that you haven't seen before. You're already better now, you're no longer sick, why do you still need to leave? Lu Ying then said, our fate only extends this far, Xiao Shan. In the future, you must listen to Chen Xing. Lu Ying will live well, and I'm going to search for that immortal now. Legend has it that with his divine power, all lives in this world will be able to gain salvation, and will finally be freed from all regrets. See. Isn't that very good? Xiao Shan tightly shut his eyes, his hands loosening their grip without his consent. The time has come, Lu Ying said to Chen Xing and Xiangshu. This soul matter, I entrust to you too. Under Lu Ying's divine power, Xiao Shan had slowly fallen asleep. Lu Ying picked him up and handed him to Chen Xing on his horse. Chen Xing arranged for him to sit at the front of the saddle, hugging him to his front. In the future, will we meet again? Chen Xing asked, not wishing to part. All lives will bid farewell one day, Lu Ying said. Your humans' lifespans are far too short. I'm afraid that as soon as today passes, this will become a final farewell. Xiangshu replied, in front of time, who is not like that? We are all but mere mayflies. You speak rightly. Lu Ying smiled charitably, before turning into the white deer and leaving. His gentle voice resounded in the space between the sky and the land as he flew towards the horizon in the west. Everything is born from the great land, and will return to the great land. At the end of the cycles of reincarnation, we will, in the end, reunite. Chen Xing sighed. With a shake of the reins, he and Xiangshu left, heading east. To the east of Li Chuan, the towering Great Wall appeared on the horizon. Xiangshu led them along the caravan route under the shadow of the wall, but they did not cross the wall. After they entered Jizhu, a different kind of scenery greeted them. The wind grew a lot less strong, and firs and cypresses rose tall along the way. There was a smear of grey fog on the horizon, and in the distance rose smoke. There were already signs of human habitation. Xiao Shan woke, and when he opened his eyes, he almost fell off the horse's back. Chen Xing hurried to grab him, but Xiao Shan very quickly remembered what had happened, and he shouted, Lu Ying. Come over here, Xiangshu said, slowing his horse's pace. Don't disturb Chen Xing. Chen Xing couldn't help but find this funny. Sometimes, when he was with Xiangshu and Xiao Shan, it did feel like they were a family of three. When Xiao Shan heard Xiangshu's admonishing, he went over unwillingly. When he saw the horses, he wanted to struggle again, but Xiangshu grabbed him and didn't let him, shouting, Listen to me. Chen Xing thought, as expected, it was Xiangshu who truly knew how to deal with this kid. If he really started to make a fuss, Chen Xing would definitely not be able to be Xiao Shan's opponent. Where is Lu Ying going? Xiao Shan asked. Are you unwilling to let him go? Xiang Shu asked easily, looking into the distance. Xiao Shan replied, will he still come back? Is he never coming back to the Central Plains again? Xiang Shu then asked, why do you want to go find him? Because he's your family. Xiao Shan, he's Lu Ying, Lu Ying is just Lu Ying. Chen Xing shot a look at Xiang Shu, meaning, Xiang Shu, stop talking, change the topic, think about something else, and maybe Xiao Shan might find it a little easier to bear. Xiao Shan's expression was one of exhaustion. Xiang Shu continued, you have learned all that you should have, and there is no need for you to protect Chen Xing in the future, I can protect him. Now, I will teach you one last thing, the most important thing. Xiao Shan. Xiang Shu said, as long as you are alive, whenever you carry out a matter, feel no regrets in your heart. I'll give you both these horses, go do what you want to buy. And saying that, Xiang Shu let go of Xiao Shan. Xiao Shan, gig. Chen Xing. Xiao Shan came back to his senses, and he immediately vaulted onto a riderless horse. He picked up the reins, turned the horse's head, and shouted, Chia, galloping away. Chen Xing almost didn't understand what had just happened, and he stared dumbly at Xiang Shu before looking to Xiao Shan. He was just about to spur his horse into motion and he shouted, hey! Xiao Shan! But Xiang Shu reached out a hand, grabbing Chen Xing's reins. What are you going to join in on the fun for? Xiang Shu asked disbelievingly. Does this have anything to do with you? Chen Xing, Xiang Shu, what are you thinking? Xiao Shan. Xiang Shu shouted into the distance. What? Xiao Shan had already galloped far off, and he was a little flustered as he turned his head back to shout loudly. Xiang Shu said, when you pass through Shazhu, while you're at it, go listen for news if that bastard Feng Qinjun is still alive. Go ba. Okay dash. Xiao Shan hollered, before continuing to gallop. Chen Xing protested, he's still a child, he's just 12. He is a man, Xiang Shu said. If we count the 3 years that have passed, Xiao Shan is 16 this year. He has the power to make decisions, and the power to not give up. He doesn't have any duty to go with you and me to face Chu, isn't that right? Chen Xing was filled with anger, but he had nothing he could say in response to Xiang Shu's words. So, he immediately turned his rage on Xiao Shan, shouting, Xiao Shan! You bastard! You haven't even said goodbye to me yet. You heartless thing! I raised you for nothing. Xiang Shu. Xiao Shan had left very quickly, and he had actually forgotten to bid farewell to Chen Xing. After rushing onto the road, there came a shout. Chen Xing! I will definitely come back. And with that, he turned into a little black dot and vanished. The corners of Chen Xing's mouth twitched, and he once again looked towards Xiang Shu. All right, I know, Chen Xing said. You're just changing your tune, trying to send away all the people beside us. Xiang Shu turned his horse's head to the east, and he said irritatedly, you're the one changing your tune, pestering me with unreasonable demands. Who else can't you part with? All right, you go find Tuoba Yan, you go find Xiao Shan. I'm leaving. Chen Xing thought, you're also a bastard, you big bastard who taught Xiao Shan, that little bastard. Where are we going now? To tour the Great Wall. Chen Xing was torn between laughing and crying. Dongying, to find King Onobayashi. Xiang Shu said irritably from ahead. Otherwise how will we set out to sea? Quick, find a place to eat dinner, otherwise we'll have to spend the night outdoors. Chen Xing could only spur his horse into motion and go chasing after. End chapter.